Fight with all his might till the end. Oh, you can always depend on mankind's truest friend, Aquaman!
Aquaman stands at the edge of an ocean gorge. Above the gorge floats an army of marine animals. Countless fish-dolphins, sharks, crabs, squids, manatees, whales, giant clams, sea serpents, whomever would show up. He marches back and forth, a waving bush of seaweed behind him.
Men, women, fish, your ocean is in grave danger. The villain Ocean Master has returned and threatened to destroy all life as we know it.
He hefts his own trident high.
Join me in my quest to stop him and save us all. Men, your ocean needs you, or else!
The very fish cheer and rally themselves into position. The ocean churns outside the now intimidating Curry Industries tower. We pan inside the top window into Orm's office. Inside the office, Mira and Aqualad sit inside a cage, their hands gripped around the bars. Both sweat profusely and gasp for breath. Ocean Master stands in front of the cage, a pitcher of water in his hand. He sips from it and smiles deviously.
Boy, nothing quenches your thirst like ice-cold water.
He waves the pitcher in front of their faces.
How long have you been on land now? 3 hours and 13 minutes? Isn't there a 4-hour minimum for you Atlanteans? Don't you need water or you'll... you'll die! How very, very tragic!
He leans down and looks Mira in the face. Aqualad begins to cry.
It's a shame. You were a good lay.
Orm, you bastard.
No, it's your precious Arthur that's the bastard. I'm the true son. Now excuse me, dear. I have an ocean master. I'm so clever.
Ocean Master walks to the open window. He raises his trident high and begins to move it in a circular motion. Heavy storm clouds roll in overhead, thunder striking in the distance. The water in front of the building begins to swirl, soon developing into a serious whirlpool. In the ocean, in front of Orm's tower, a large group of henchmen, each with a number on their chest, have assembled. Some are dressed in scuba gear and armed with spear guns. Others are robotic in nature and armed with shockwave guns. There are easily hundreds of them. Off in the distance, a crowd approaches the tower. It is a guerrilla squadron of sea life, sharks with pipe bombs strapped around their midsections, octopi gripping axes, clubs, and knives, dolphins with camouflage bandanas around their heads and AK-47s in their mouths, whales decked out in huge armored plates, lobsters and crabs stacked atop one another, forming a moving wall of pinchers and shells, cods with grenades tucked in their mouths. And at the front of this army is, of course, Aquaman. He rides atop his giant seahorse. He waves his trident and calls to his soldiers.
Men, have at thee!
They charge forward. War breaks out. Aquaman and his steed dart back and forth, dodging spears and electric bolts. He throws his trident, embedding it in a henchman's face. A whale plows into a formation of men and machine, crushing some under its massive girth and scattering others. An octopus stabs a henchman in the eye with an ice pick and strangles another with a free tentacle. A scuba-clad soldier swims towards the pod. The octopus charges at the man, wrapping all of its limbs around his head. The henchman screams,
"Allow not to face!"
A wall of lobsters slowly crawls across the battlefield. A robotic henchman throws a grenade at the crustaceans. The pile of sea insects explodes, sending hundreds of bright red, fully cooked lobsters flying in all directions. A henchman rolls around on the ground, clams latched to his face. A pair of dolphin soldiers swim back to back, firing their machine guns. One has a cigar gripped in his mouth. The dolphin on the right receives an electric bolt to his belly. Ugh! Bill, it's over! The other dolphin soldier turns to him, tears welling up in his eyes.
Don't you die on me, man! I'm so cold, Bill. To tell my illegal Korean boy servant, I'm mildly fond of him.
Bill holds him in his fins. His eyes roll back and he expires. Bill raises both fins towards the heaven and screams out, "No!" A pair of henchmen stand on the sandy floor, one in front of the other. They fire shockwave guns upward. Aquaman, still atop his seahorse, swoops down at them. He swings his big hand at the first henchman. The henchman behind him explodes. A shark bites into a henchman, swinging his head back and forth. The shark then explodes! The shark teeth flies into the face of another nearby henchman.
Arrgh! Exploding shark!
A manatee moves a flamethrower back and forth, roasting a pair of nearby enemy soldiers. The manatee has the 1,000-yard stare on his face, his teeth gritted, eyes unblinking. A trio of henchmen play Limbo, two holding the stick and the other bending down to walk under it. A pair of moray eels swim up to the men holding the stick, lap their powerful jaws around their heads, and carries them off. The limbo pole falls on the throat of the third henchman, pinning him to the ground. A group of fish, each wearing tiny turbans and vests of plastic explosives, rush a henchbot, destroying him with a flurry of small explosions. Aquaman charges onward, atop his seahorse. An electric bolt tears through the seahorse's head, leaving a perfectly round hole. The creature sinks, baby seahorses rushing from the head wound. Aquaman drops down to the floor. A group of 15 henchmen rush him, the one at the front pointing his finger.
Come on, maggots! You want to live forever?
The henches jump forward, piling on top of Aquaman, burying him under their bodies. Men fly from the top of the pile, leaving a trail of blood behind them. Severed limbs and heads fly out of the pile. Henchmen scream and flee. Aquaman's hand explodes through the back of a henchman. The Atlantean then literally steps through the body of the henchman, blood clinging to his face. Aquaman looks over his shoulder, seeing the ocean thick with red behind him.
Once again, I have been forced to unshackle the trouts of war.
He then looks forward to the base of Orm's tower.